Now we're getting to, I think, the opportunity for you guys where I really believe where marketing is going and where you can start to be very smart and you're going to be the next generation of people that are going to be doing this. People are very anxious right now about the problems before us. It's a very unstable time in the world. People do care and they see these big problems and they want to do something about it. Caring about causes has gone really mainstream. There's a cause marketing company called Cone that's been measuring this since 1993. And now actually 83% of Americans wish more of the products and services and retailers they use would support causes, and they wish that they would do more of it. And it helps, obviously, everyone's talking about a triple bottom line, like you gotta have a product that performs, but there's no reason that it can't have a positive social impact and a positive financial performance for the company, and everybody's talking in these terms now. Importantly, 90% of consumers want companies to tell them the way that they're supporting causes. So Pepsi Refresh is very much, I think, on the sort of front end of that, and doing it in a really big way. In particular, the audiences that you'll see that are really responding to this, and it makes sense, are moms and you, the millennials. And what I found really interesting about these numbers is that, in the past when we talked about this, people wanted to buy something like the Red Project, which I'm sure you're familiar with, buy this t-shirt and it'll give money to AIDS, and that's one business model. But what's really interesting about this study is it shows that moms and young people like you actually want to do something, not just buy something. So in the high 80s and 90s, they want to learn about a social environmental issue, again, make changes to their own behavior, donate money to a nonprofit, be an advocate, which is what I'm asking for. How can we create advocates for you and Girl Up, or actually volunteer for a cause or issue? So these numbers have gone skyrocketing through the roof in the past couple of years. The cool thing is that companies are committing to social purpose in a big way. So I talked about Pepsi and their new mission of performance with a purpose. One of the corporations that we work with is Johnson & Johnson, who is doing just all kinds of work around the world to help young mothers and children with all kinds of technology. And they do unsexy things, but that matter, like drugs to prevent intestinal worms and what have you. The one that I'm the most proud of, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, is Procter & Gamble. So when I was a baby planner way back when, I didn't study business or marketing. I have a graduate degree in French literature, and thank God I fell into advertising, because what the hell was I going to do with that? And they were looking for people with funky backgrounds, so I was like, one and only time I was lucky in my life. And the very first thing I ever worked on was Procter & Gamble, Clearasil. And it was like brand marketing 101. It was really good kind of training. And so back in the day when I was in my 20s then, I was like, oh, Procter, you're so boring. You don't need planners. You don't like good creative. I don't want to work on you anymore. And in fact, I did not until I got to Strawberry Frog, and specifically was working on a thing called Future Friendly, which is a sustainability initiative. And we developed an idea for a new digital media property for them around kind of greening your home and what have you. And they have done just amazing things. So they announced just last week that they are moving towards, and by the way, so why this is important is Procter & Gamble is the world's, they never let me forget this, they repeat it all the time. They are the world's largest institution. So they touch more people than any government or religion or any other organization in the world. So if their products get people to adopt a certain kind of behavior, the impact and the scale is just unimaginable. So for instance, on Future Friendly, not all that sexy, but part of what we were to do is to educate people about how to use products in a different way. So like Tide cold water, because like 30% of the energy to run your, to do laundry comes from heating the water. We actually don't need to heat the water. Like there's really no need to do that. So imagine that 3 billion people around the world now change to washing their clothes in cold water. The impact is just amazing. But they announced last week that they are moving towards 100% renewable energy, 100% renewable or recycled materials for their packaging, and they're way drastically reducing their packaging. So that's like, for you guys and like whatever, this is a super big deal for a company like that, because everyone else is going to have to follow suit. When they lay down that gauntlet, others are going to have to respond. They also announced at the UN conference that they are way scaling up this program that they have for children's safe drinking water. And this is something I could talk about all day too, although I'm not an expert about it. It's just stunning, like all over the world, people don't have water to drink, and kids are drinking contaminated water and getting sick and dying like for really no reason. And so there are many, many good organizations and projects that are trying to tackle this. One of them you might have seen is Charity Water, which if you've never looked at it, check out their website. It's a really, really interesting model that they have. And so what Procter & Gamble did is they have Pure, you know, the water filters. So the brand Pure collaborated with the Centers for Disease Control to create these little packets that instantly purify 10 liters of water, like right there on the spot. So again, it's just a really smart, simple solution. And so they've been doing this for a couple of years, but they announced at that conference that they are going to scale it up to the extent to which they will save a child's life every half hour by providing clean water. They are creating a whole plant in Singapore just to produce these packets, and they're going to be giving them away in the millions and millions and millions. So that to me is really exciting when a big company like that makes that kind of commitment, A, because of the impact that they're going to have, but B, because others will have to follow suit or they won't be, it is a competitive point of difference for them. So again, they're doing it because they believe it to be true, but they're also doing it because they know that that's what their consumers want. And so I predict it now, and I'm sure if I came back here in 5 years, there'd be a new group of students here who are going to be working on all this kind of stuff because it's absolutely exploding. So this idea of cause marketing, which used to be something different, it's really becoming marketing. So the idea that your central positioning is about your impact on the world. So whether it be Pepsi, or IBM, let's build a smarter planet, GE, Eco-Imagination. This is their central positioning. It's not just this little thing they do over here where they're going to give 10 cents or something or what have you. This year, American Express, their entire campaign was the Members Project, which was a similar thing to Pepsi Refresh and what have you. So the point of all this is welcome to the age of social selling, and I think the important thing I'm trying to get across to you guys today is it's not just brands attaching themselves to causes, but it's a real opportunity to sell social solutions. And I believe that you're going to have a lot of opportunities to work on those. So just a few examples of that. You might be familiar with Droga 5 in New York. Very impressively just proactively developed an idea. A client didn't come to them with a pitch and said, help us fix water. They cared. So they actually proactively developed this idea for UNICEF called the TAP Project. It started in New York where, you get your water when you go to dinner for free. You could offer to pay $1 for what you would have gotten for free, and that dollar gives other people tons and tons of water. And this has actually gone global. We participated. We did it for Washington, D.C., what have you. I love this. This comes from Strawberry Frog, my former agency, and I'll still always be a frog, as dorky as that sounds. So they work with Mahindra, which is India's largest multinational corporation, and it's one of these things in India where they make I don't know, trucks and diapers, and they have banks, and they make oatmeal. They make everything. It's India. And so they have a philanthropic arm to educate young girls because the UN and many others have determined, and I believe this too, that the single thing that we could do to make the world a more stable place is to educate girls for lots of reasons. But at any rate, so what they created is, and I'm going to recreate Scott Goodson, the world's first donation-based film series. So what they did is they created this girl's story. I think her name is Nyla. And what it is it happens on YouTube seamlessly. They tell her story of her trying to get to school. And at the end of the story, if you don't donate, her journey to go to school ends, and you see her crying. You can't see that. And it's actually really beautifully rendered. It's a lovely story. They did it really, really well. And with no paid media, in 4 months, they raised enough money to send 58,000 girls to school for 10 years. That's a big deal. So this is a very innovative solution. So I get really inspired by stuff like this because as much as I love, the thing with the UN, so much of what we're trying to do for the UN is make people aware of this program that it already is and, get people involved. This is just a new kind of idea, very innovative idea on how to solve the problem of young girls getting education. Crispin Porter, our friends at Crispin Porter launched last week, an effort for obesity. They won this account with the bunch of carrot farmers. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, so they're marketing baby carrots like junk food. Eat them like junk food. Very direct kind of plea. And what's so smart about what Crispin Porter does is, of course they do cool video games. And I could talk all day. I worked on Nintendo about the future of gaming as another big solution to potential world problems. If any of you are familiar with Jane McGonigal, who did A World Without Oil, where it was this massive multiplayer game where you scenarioed out what will happen when we hit peak oil. And she was on Oprah last week and predicted that one of the next Nobel Peace Prize winners is going to be a game designer. So gaming is a huge, very effective, not only engaging and entertaining way to reach people, but potentially a very powerful tool in this area as well. So they did that, but they're also very smart. They changed the packaging. They made it more fun. They're putting in vending machines. Again, I look at this as a way to fight fire with fire. Like take everything that we know about it, create desire for a product, and to use that for something that's really kind of good, that maybe wouldn't be that sexy, like baby carrots. Whee! And we'll see. I have a lot of hopes that this is going to work well.